What's up, guys? D-Rock1992 here. For my next About video, I'm going to be talking about a guy who I can't believe I haven't already talked about already. He is one of the best comedians out there today. And I just can't believe that I haven't mentioned, that I haven't really, that this, like 30 people in, is finally when I'm going to talk about him. The guy I'm talking about is Seth Rogen. One of the top comedians out there. He is a big star. He's a funny guy, no matter what. He's got the laugh. I'll try it. Something like that. You know him for the laugh. You know him for his great comedy. He's one of the best out there. And he's a double threat as well, being that he's an actor and he's written a few things. He's written some of his movies, some of the movies he's been in. So I'll be talking about that definitely. Without further ado, I'm going to get started with his television career, because he was in a couple of shows before he hit it big in movies. In 1999, from 1999 to 2000, he appeared on the short-lived TV series Freaks and Geeks. What's very notable about this show is that James Franco, a guy who you'll be hearing about later as a collaborator of Seth Rogen, he was in the show. Jason Segel in the show, another collaborator along with Seth Rogen. And this is where I believe that Judd Apatow, the director Judd Apatow, and Seth Rogen met at first on this TV show. Judd Apatow is big in the career of Seth Rogen. Seth Rogen's been in a lot of his films. And Freaks and Geeks really was the start. He was on a TV show from 2001 to 2003 called Undeclared, another Judd Apatow show. 17 episodes, and Seth Rogen was one of the stars in it. There, on this TV show, Jay Baruchel is the main star. Jay Baruchel is a frequent collaborator of Seth Rogen. They appear in each other's movies and things like that. Jumping up to movies now. Seth Rogen's first movie was a movie called Donnie Darko in 2001. This was starring Jake Gyllenhaal, Drew Barrymore, and a few other notable actors in the movie. Seth Rogen only has a small role in the film. A very small role, but that was his first movie. And throughout he started developing. He got small roles. In 2004, he starred in Anchorman, the first Anchorman movie. 2005, he had a small but important role in The 40-Year-Old Virgin. 2006, he starred in You, Me, and Dupree in a small role. He also starred in Shrek the Third in 2007. But his, what I would say was his breakout. His breakout in movies was Knocked Up. It was in 2007. And he's co-stars in the film with Katherine Heigl. Knocked Up is a good movie, definitely. It's about him and Katherine Heigl's character who have a one-night stand, and Heigl gets pregnant. And Seth Rogen, you'll see, if you watch a Seth Rogen movie, he plays that stereotypical slacker character. He plays slackers in the movies. That's what he normally does. And Knocked Up is no different. But it's one of the... It's his breakout movie, definitely one of the best he's been in. Also in 2007, he starred in a short film called Jay and Seth versus the Apocalypse. This is notable because there'll be a later movie that I talk about on his movie list that was inspired from the short film from that short film. In the short film, it's Jay Baruchel and Seth Rogen. In 2007, also, he wrote and starred in the movie Superbad. He had a supporting role in Superbad, but had a hand in writing it. He gets into voiceover work in 2008. Horton Hears a Who, the Dr. Seuss film, and Kung Fu Panda. He's been in the Kung Fu Panda series. 2008, he starred in Kung Fu Panda 2 in 2011, and coming up, he'll be starring in Kung Fu Panda 3. All is the same guy. He had a cameo in Step Brothers, the Will Ferrell, John C. Reilly movie. One of his biggest accomplishments, and this is a movie I have yet to watch, I'd like to see it someday. He also wrote this movie, was Pineapple Express. He stars in this movie with James Franco. I think it's, if I'm not mistaken, I think it's their first movie together. They're the two main characters in the film. It's about Seth Rogen is this druggie and James Franco is his drug dealer, and they get into some trouble and they have to run away from other drug people. In 2009, he stars in Observe and Report. This is a movie that's kind of it's kind of the same as Paul Blart Mall Cop, that starred Kevin James. In that he's a security guy in a mall and he has to try to save the day or something like that. And main guy in the film. Let's see. Also in 2009, he gets into more of a dramatic role with Funny People. Funny People is him, Adam Sandler, in one of Adam Sandler's more serious roles, and Leslie Mann. Leslie Mann and Seth Rogen are two comedians who kind of form this friendship with Adam Sandler's character, who is a dying stand-up comedian. And so definitely, I'll check out that movie. I haven't seen it myself, but I'd like to someday. 2011, he stars in The Green Hornet. And The Green Hornet, for those of you who don't know, is a... Let me see here. It is... Is it DC or... I want to see if it's DC or Marvel. And I think... Is it DC or Marvel? Either way, it's a comic book movie. And the Green, you would never expect Seth Rogen, of all people, to star in a comic book movie. He plays a slacker type. Like I said, he plays a slacker in pretty much every single movie. That's what his persona is in a lot of different movies. And it's no different. Green Hornet, that type of comic book film. Of course, Funny People kind of sheds that persona a little bit, as well as Green Hornet. Is it Jay Chow, Christoph Waltz is in the movie, Cameron Diaz, Tom Wilkinson, among others. 2011, he stars in a serious, funny type film called 50-50 with Joseph Gordon-Levitt. Anna Kendrick is in the film. It's a comedy drama, kind of. It is a comedy drama. Let's see. 2012, this is notable. In 2012, he stars in The Guilt Trip. It wasn't a well-reviewed movie, but he stars in it with Barbra Streisand. Barbra Streisand's a singer/actress. So, that's one of the movies he starred in. In 2013, the movie I was talking about in 2007, Jay and Seth versus the Apocalypse, was the inspiration for 2013's This Is the End. This movie, I think, is one of his best, if not his best film. This Is the End is about... He plays himself, for one thing. He plays himself. Jay Baruchel plays himself. Jonah Hill plays himself. James Franco plays himself. Danny McBride plays himself. Craig Robinson plays himself. Everybody plays themselves in this movie. And it's Rogen's character, Hill's character, Rogen, Hill, Robinson, McBride, Franco. And Franco, they have to survive the apocalypse, basically. And that's essentially what the movie's about. One of his best movies, definitely. And certainly a good one. 2014, this year. Oh, this was a movie I wanted to see. I really wanted to see it, but I didn't get a chance to. Neighbors with Zac Efron. It's about where Rogen and his wife, played by Rose Byrne, I believe her name was, they're next door. This fraternity, headed by Zac Efron's character, moves next door to Seth Rogen and Rose Byrne, and this fraternity will stop at nothing to humiliate Rogen. And that's essentially what the movie's about. But this movie I want to see. It's on the top of my it's definitely up there on my list of movies I want to see. One other movie that he's coming out with this year that I really, really want to see is The Interview. Another movie with James Franco. This is where he has to, Franco and him and Rogen, they have to go to North Korea to interview Kim Jong-un, the leader of North Korea. But there's a twist. The CIA wants them to eliminate Kim Jong-un, kill him, basically. That's what the basic premise of the movie is about. Lizzie Kaplan from Mean Girls is in the movie as well. In 2015, he's slated to have a ton of films coming out in the upcoming years. Next year, he's going to be in Kung Fu Panda 3, as I mentioned, BOO, Bureau of Otherworldly Operations, as a voiceover. He's also going to be in an untitled Christmas Eve project. That's interesting, because The Interview, I believe, is coming out on Christmas. Look for The Interview, and I'm going to check the date, December 25th, Christmas. He's coming out with a Christmas Eve project, but it's coming out November 25th for some strange reason. In this movie, this will star Joseph Gordon-Levitt, Lizzie Kaplan, and the plot of the movie. 3 childhood best friends reunite in New York City for their annual tradition of going out on Christmas Eve. Seems like a pretty standard comedy to me. Seems like a pretty standard comedy. But I'm looking forward to it. It'll come out next year. 2016, he's going to come out with the movie Sausage Party. He does a voiceover. These are voices of different foods. Seth Rogen's going to voice a sausage in the movie. A group of foods want to be purchased but get lost and need to return to their aisles before the 4th of July. That's what the premise of Sausage Party is about. And this movie has got everybody comedically. Jonah Hill, James Franco, Kristen Wiig, even Edward Norton, Michael Cera, Salma Hayek, Bill Hader, Craig Robinson, Phil Rudd, Danny McBride, and a few others as well. This looks like it could be a really good animated movie. And then the big one that has been fraught with controversy, is the untitled Steve Jobs movie. If you remember, last year there was a Steve Jobs biopic that came out starring Ashton Kutcher as Steve Jobs. Needless to say, that movie did not do very well, and Kutcher was criticized for his portrayal of Jobs. Even though Kutcher looks exactly like Steve Jobs, kind of. The resemblance is pretty striking. So they're going to do another Steve Jobs movie. They originally had director David Fincher to direct the movie. He dropped out. Another director as well to direct the movie. He dropped out. Leonardo DiCaprio was in talks to star in the Steve Jobs movie. He dropped out. Christian Bale. Eventually, he dropped out. Seth Rogen's not going to play Steve Jobs. Instead, he's going to play Steve Wozniak, who's an important character in the Steve Jobs kind of story. But that untitled Steve Jobs movie, it's to be announced. It's in development right now. But we'll have to see about it. Steve Jobs, of course, is the creator of Apple. He really did a lot for Apple. So, actually, they got a guy for Steve Jobs. Michael Fassbender will portray Steve Jobs. Seth Rogen is going to star as Wozniak. Seth Rogen has also been a director. This is the End in the Interview. He co-directed with Evan Goldberg, who's a writing partner of his and a frequent collaborator with Seth Rogen. He's been a producer. He's produced The 40-Year-Old Virgin, Knocked Up, Pineapple Express, a bunch of the movies he's been in, and it will be in. As a writer, he wrote 2 movies in particular that he did not star in. Drill Bit Taylor, a movie starring Owen Wilson, and The Watch. Ben Stiller, Vince Vaughn, Jonah Hill. This is the End he also wrote. The Interview he's writing. The Green Hornet he wrote. And a few others as well. Finishing up on his television career. His movie career is all set. I already talked about that. Finishing up the television career. He starred in American Dad in 2006 in an episode. He starred as a character on the 81st Academy Awards in 2009. He starred as himself in 2009 on Family Guy for 2 episodes. He starred as a character on The Simpsons and himself in 2 episodes. Let's see. The TV show The League, he starred in for 5 episodes. Arrested Development in 2013 for 4 episodes. And As himself, he's hosted Saturday Night Live 3 times and appeared 5 times. 2007, 2009, and 2014 he hosted, and he appeared in 2011 and 2014. So, and he appeared in the Comedy Central roast of James Franco. He was one of the roastees. As a writer on TV, he wrote a few episodes of the TV show Undeclared, one of the TV shows he started on. The Simpsons, he wrote an episode. And that's pretty much it for the writing. And that's it for the video. Here's to hoping that Seth Rogen is going to have a very long career in the movies, for sure. Movies, TV, definitely. He's one of my favorite guys. I look forward to seeing him in more great things. So that's it for the video on Seth Rogen. D-Rock 1992 out.